Mistus. You return to us so soon. Does this mean you bring bad news of your assignment?
Please, dear. I would have thought by now I'd earned a little more faith.
Faith is for children and fools. What information do you have for us?
The figure, Mistus, stood forward. A simple trickle of moonlight pierced through some opening of the raven's chamber to light his face as he looked up towards the woman that spoke. A sly smile swept behind his blonde wavy hair. His eyes caught the moonlight in an unnatural way. And as he replied, it was impossible not to notice the pair of fangs protruding from his teeth.
You know, you used to be a lot more fun, Rose. The situation in Dogrim is returning to normal on its own. But near enough, on its own anyway. The many had struck a bargain with a Fey entity in order to gain more power, but have since paid the price of their bargain and been forced further underground. Their foothold in the city decimated by their own hands.
The woman glared at Mistus.
I'd remind you to refer to me as your raven while within these walls, Mistus. It is concerning that the Fae are involved at all. Such chaos frays the threads we read. Did you discover anything more on this entity? What is to stop it interfering again?
The Fae bound itself to a mortal in the city, following the disruption of the many, and formed a kind of romantic attachment to it. However, it appears the Fae has died, believed to be from a disease. I have left some eyes to keep tabs on the mortal, but she's only mourned her lost love and returned to work since. Very boring. I'll of course let you know if anything changes with her, but I'm glad to say the matter has resolved for now.
The woman's posture relaxed slightly as Mistus concluded.
Well then, it's rare when problems solve themselves. But if this is in fact the case, then I suppose you are absolved of this assignment. Be sure you report to the oracles to deposit your memories of the investigation for verification, and enjoy an evening's rest before you report back to me in the morning.
You spoil me, my dear Raven. Ta-ta!
Mistus promptly found the oracle's chamber. He'd visited often enough after each mission. It was a small and simple stone room, barely furnished save for a tall standing mirror and the wooden chair upon which sat an ancient, wrinkled crone. Eyeless sockets covered over by thin, leathery skin. Despite the lack of vision, her head turned towards Mistus the moment he crossed the threshold.
Why, hello, Norna, my dear. I must say, you don't look a day over. Well, anyway, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, is it not? Oh yes, it's been far too long since you laid your eyes on me, hasn't it? But worry not. I've come with memories so vivid, you can almost see them yourself.
Why must you always antagonize my dear sister, Mistus? Have I not asked you to leave her be time and time again?
The voice came not from the crone in the room, but from the mirror. The other oracle was without body, instead a lone reflection in the standing mirror, always positioned behind whoever gazed into it, looking over their shoulder.
I apologize, Fatima. I only wish to bring some much-needed levity to this sordid place. I've never once seen you two smile.
We have little to smile about, Mistus. You know our curses. You know our servitude. This work is all we have, and you must always make it difficult for us. Please, deposit the memories and take your leave, child.
Mistus tilted his head in pity, unclear if it was mock or genuine through his general energy and character. He looked back towards Norna, her hand outstretched like a twisted and gnarled branch of a tree. For a moment there was only silence, broken up by the crone's wheezing breath.
I'd ask you to be gentle this time around, but I suppose that request was dead in the water as soon as I spoke.
As soon as Mistus took Norna's hand, he was racked with a familiar pain. His mind burned like it was being blended into liquid and pulled out through his skull, down his neck, and out through his hand. The crone finally released Mistus's hand as he stumbled back a bit, catching his breath and smoothing out his coat and hair.
You may leave us now, Mistus. Perhaps next time you will refrain from the jest and allow us to do our duties in peace.
No, where would be the fun in that? My love to you both, ladies.
He walked out of the chamber with the same swagger he entered with, if a little bit hurried. It was easy to forget how humbling the pain of the memory deposit was. But it was part of the job. And now, as he walked out through the front doors of the Veiled League, the night was once again his own. As Mistus wandered out into town to find a suitable tavern, the people gave him a wide berth. If you were to stop one of them and ask why, they wouldn't be able to tell you. Something about this man's presence was just repelling. After all, the living have an innate sense to avoid the undead. The stuff of nightmares that prowl through the night ready to snatch up children and livestock. Monsters who wear the face of men. The father, Blake, traced a slow perimeter around his inn. Alexander had pulled him away from his work to play hide and seek. Blake feigned reluctance, but truthfully it was a quiet day and he cherished these moments with his child. However, this was 2 hours ago, and he still had not found little Alexander. Were it not for the child's stifled laughter, he'd have gotten worried he'd wandered off and gotten lost. Unfortunately, the truth was made plain that he just wasn't very good at seeking.
Come on, son. It's getting late out. I think you've won now.
Roar!
All right, you got me. Come now, let's get home. Hear the whispers in the dark beckon you into hungry jaws. Hear the dead walk out through the forest to snatch up lost children. Hear little Alexander gets gobbled up.
Whoa!
Having scooped up his son in his arms, the two returned to the inn. Alexander already starting to calm down from the game and get ready for bed. Just before they crossed the threshold, Blake paused, glancing back over his shoulder at the tree line and the shadows that danced in his periphery. Clutching his son tighter, he moved back indoors and latched the door shut.
My raven.
Mistus.
Mistus returned to the Raven's chamber first thing in the morning, as instructed. He enjoyed teasing his betters, but he knew better than to be late. Rose stood in her usual spot as she regarded Mistus, sliding over a parchment on her desk to sit more directly in front of her.
The door to freedom will open where time does not touch, and the courtless queen shall rend her power from the grasp of the powerless.
I beg your pardon?
It is your next assignment, Mistus. A fragment of text found on some archaeological sample recently unearthed and witnessed by another agent.
I didn't think you were the type to believe in prophecy and fairy tale.
Did you think the oracles were simply old women we kept around for their memoirs? Prophecy is important to heed, but I concede only the foolish trust in it. This is what you are for, child. You know that. We give you the threads, and you pull. Then we watch to see if it unravels, or if you bring us a tapestry.
Of course, I'm simply used to more tangible leads. I appreciate a challenge there.
We'll be sending you to Nerovia to begin your assignment.
The city of the undead, where time does not touch, ere the lichens trap it once more.
Precisely. You know the path well enough. You are able, yes?
Raven, dearest, you know I am. What would make you think I wasn't?